What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and Happy New Year. We are now in 2024. It's been a solid week and a half since I've gotten a new video up into 2024, but the first video of the year was part 2 of the best of 2023. So if you haven't seen those 2 episodes yet, go back and watch how crazy 2023 was. That was kind of the first video of the year, but this is the first up-to-date video of the year. And honestly, we're in one of those dreaded spots of a shop that is trying to create content of waiting on parts. So as you know, we've got the 64 Beetle that we're really trying to get working on. We've got major suspension components on its way from Everesto in England. So that should hopefully be here in a week, and that car will go under a massive transformation. Trying to get that car, quote unquote, done in time for EuroTripper, which is in Fort Myers, Florida, in just a few weeks. So we are like down to the wire, because as we speak now, that Beetle is still relatively untouched since I brought it home. Like, we did a fuel filter in it, and that's it. Put a few miles on it, done. So we have a whole bunch of parts that we ordered. Now, haven't decided yet if we're going to take the 700 as well, because as you guys know, the Beetle and the 700 will both fit safely and comfortably on my 24-foot open trailer. So as you notice, the 700's racked up as we speak, and that's what we're going to be working on in this episode, as well as probably pulling the W210 in here, getting that racked up, doing a bolt check, maybe an oil change, and pulling the factory shocks to pull some measurements to then hopefully get a good idea of what we can run for shortened shocks in that car to get a little bit more height out of the aired out location. So before we dive into the 700 and talk a little bit more about what we're doing on that car, we filmed a sub-mail segment while we were building the W210, and while editing, I totally forgot to add it into the episode. So that's where we're gonna start right now. Back a couple months ago, I started talking about how I finally started a PO box for the channel for sub-mail. So if you guys wanna send anything to me here at the shop, send it to the address that's in the video's description below. I'm gonna check that pretty regularly, and once we get a handful of stuff in, we'll basically integrate it into an episode, shout you guys out, and go over what you guys have sent in. What you're gonna see now is what we originally filmed from a few episodes back of what first came in for sub-mail. We have 2 here. One is from Gary and Kathy Noel from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And we got one from our man, Matt Phillips from Lord Lifestyle. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Lord Lifestyle. Matt's a good friend of mine, has been for a long time. So let us see here. Yeah. John, like you, I'm a fan of quirky cars and natural patina. Nothing could be more quirky than the BMW 700. He's got that right. I wanted to gift you a unique piece of art that I completed around 2005 and hung in a one-man gallery show in Baton Rouge. It would go perfect in an auto shop. It's 12 feet by 12 feet. Photograph is attached, obverse side. My show was at the Manship Gallery in Baton Rouge. My family and I will be up at Mont Eagle, Tennessee, vacationing between December 17th and December 21st. We can meet somewhere and drop off the artwork. It would be about an hour from Chattanooga. My work is kind of unique. This particular piece is acrylic on visqueen, so it can be folded up with minimal damage to the piece. Wow. Whoa, that is crazy. 12 feet by 12 feet? That won't
huge.
That won't fit in here. The trusses are 11 foot. Wow, that's crazy. And it's actually...
I know.
It's the 18th. I don't know if he brought that or not. This is what I get for like holding on to some of these packages to open them all together when I had more than one. Wow, that's incredible. 12 foot by 12 foot? That's massive.
Insane.
Wow. Gary, thank you so much for this, man. He left his number. I will text you or call you like right now, because you are currently vacationing with your family an hour from here. And I may have dropped the ball by waiting too long. But thank you so much for the kind gesture, the incredible artwork. Okay, Matt Phillips, Lord Lifestyle on Instagram. You already know. Matt does so much in the automotive industry. He's based out of Florida. Let's see what we got. Oh, yeah. I got some shirts. Got a couple shirts. Whole little care package. Just wanted to send over some stuff. Thanks, Matt. Got some stickers. A bunch of Lord Lifestyle stickers. Got some air fresheners. More stickers. Oh, cool. We got a little banner. Nice. We'll add this to the banner collection on the wall. Nice. Japanese style. Lord Lifestyle plate. Thanks, Matt. This is awesome. Go support Matt. Really enjoy what he's doing. Love all the designs. It says fragile and do not bend. So I'm going to be very careful on how I cut this or get the tape. Ludwick's Garage. Oh, very cool. Wow, that is awesome. It looks like ink. Yeah, not pencil. An ink drawing of the BMW 700. All right, it comes with a letter, though, so let's read that. Should have done that first. We went and turned it over. Oh, this is cool. It says, "Hi, John. Hope you're doing well. I've been watching your channel for a few years now and really enjoy the videos and have learned a lot from them, so thank you. I do not come from a car family, but during my tech school automotive restoration class, I started really getting into cars. I photographed my local car shows and have drawn a few car portraits for friends and people I've met through the Subaru community. Enclosed is a drawing of your BMW 700. Hope you like it. Currently, I work as a designer for a custom enclosed trailer company. It's a small business, but we've built trailers for many customers throughout the U.S. and a few in Germany. A lot of our work is for fire safety training, emergency management, and mobile classrooms for schools and prisons. Last year, we made a custom box for a 40 Econoline pickup that will be used for catering. Thought you might find that project interesting. Really excited to watch the VW Beetle build. Keep up the great projects, Nina." Another_green_Outback. Nina, thank you so much for that. That is so cool. It's so cool to know that there's people that aren't really as deep into cars as we are that enjoy watching the channel. I mean, that's insane. And the fact that anyone thinks they've learned anything from this channel is mind-blowing. This is that Econoline that they built the box for on the back. All right, so there's a little note on the back of the note that I just noticed now. It says, "P.S. Please tell Kayla that her jumping spider videos on Instagram are helping me lessen my fear of spiders." Smiley face. Yeah, so Kayla has 3 spoods, as they call them. I'm learning a lot about this now, too. That's very nice. Thank you so much, Nina. We'll have to find a spot for that. We have one more. This package is from Matt Zimmerman. Definitely feels like it's a piece of cardboard to help keep something straight, and this was folded and shoved in the P.O. box. So shout out to the Red Bank, Tennessee post office for folding this. It doesn't say "do not bend" on it, but it feels like it shouldn't be bent. All right, so there's a letter. It says, "John, I found this in a die-cast car shop in Palmyra, New York." I believe that's what it says, Palmyra. "It seemed really cool to me, and as you are the only person I know of with one of these cars, I thought you should have it. Hope you haven't seen it before. Keep doing what you're doing, Matt Zimmerman." Oh, wow. Post office straight up folded it. So this here is what looks to be a brochure ad for a BMW 700. Yeah, these are old magazine clippings. Looks like 1962 Autocar road test of a BMW 700. And on the back here, they've got performance charts. All sorts of really cool stuff. So this is the Sport Coupe, and this is actually what mine is. Mine is actually a German market Sport Coupe. Wow, this is so cool. Look at how cool these cars looked. Thanks, Matt. I'll have to get these things laminated and framed at some point. Again, if you guys want to send anything to the shop, the P.O. box is in the video's description below. Really looking forward to hearing from you guys. All right, so as I mentioned, we've got the 700 on the lift, and we're going to be doing some brake work today. We're doing a brake master cylinder. Shortly after I got back with the 700 from Daytona, Florida for Turkey Rod Run, the pedal started to get softer and softer and softer, and then we had a puddle of brake fluid down by the pedal cluster inside the car. So I haven't even diagnosed it any further. Just got a brake master cylinder, so we're going to replace that today, and hopefully that's the only culprit. What's different about this car, and if you're new to the channel, this 1960 BMW Sport Coupe 700 is sitting on a shortened Volkswagen Beetle chassis. And normally, you know, you've got access to the brake master cylinder in a Beetle, but in this car, it's a little bit different. The access isn't the same. You can't get at it from under the hood looking down. I probably should have made an access panel for that, which might be some content in the future on the 700, making things a little bit more accessible. We're gonna go in from the driver's side front wheel well. We're gonna take this wheel off, and I'm pretty sure I can get in there okay from there. All right, so as you guys can see here, this is the closest access to the brake master now, in through the driver's side front fender well. You'll also notice that I have not finished inner strut tower like wheel tubs from the inside of the trunk, essentially, the front. This has been back burner, and I really need to get to that. So when you look from underneath the trunk, basically the wheel tubs aren't completely finished. So I've not replaced that since the 700 body's been put down over the pan. The 700 from the factory is a unibody car, and we ultimately made it a standalone body that we could mount to a Beetle pan. But we've seam sealed everything up, and we've foamed a lot of stuff just for water tightness and for sound deadening and stuff like that. So it's not something that you can really easily pull the body off of. All right, got the old brake master out. This here has a dual bladder reservoir on it. We're reusing this one since the new brake master did not come with it. So this is the new unit here, essentially the same one that just came out. We'll get the reservoir plugged down in. We'll get the brake switch fitting threaded into the new brake master. We'll get this plug in. So this here is a plug that I put in this one because there's a tee off at the back. So I only need one line to go to the back, and then it tees off to the two. So I only need 3 ports out of the 4 on the brake master. So I'll pull that out, and we'll replug this port on the new one, and we'll have our 2 front and 1 of the back, reservoir, brake switch, brake master piston, 2 bolts that hold it in. All right, guys, we got the new brake master cylinder built up. Decided not to bench bleed it just to not make a crazy mess. I'll just deal with bleeding all 4 corners in the car once it's in. So since this is kind of a task to get that brake master in through the fender well, it's just going to be easier to do it dry and not make a mess and spill fluid all over the place. All right, guys, I finally have the brake master cylinder in, tightened to the firewall, and all the brake fittings tightened, and there was one brake line I just could not, there was not enough brake line to re-angle it. I couldn't get the fitting in straight. You do not want to strip, you don't want to strip one of those fittings because then you're redoing the whole brake line for the most part. So I ended up unhooking it from the firewall, and even still with the brake master loose and not mounted to the car yet, it was still super difficult to get it at the right angle to get that fitting in. So anyway, all 3 fittings are in. If you ever put a BMW 700 over a Beetle pan, remote mount your reservoir, which I should probably do, and make the brake master more easily accessible. We looked at, oh, we'll be able to get into that inner fender well, no problem. Well, now that I'm doing it, it's not a no problem situation. All right, guys, been absolutely grueling over bleeding this system. Not sure if bench bleeding the brake master cylinder would have avoided trying to bleed this stupid car. It still would have been quite a mess trying to get that brake master cylinder in, filled with fluid, and it's just so hard to get to the fittings once the brake master's in. So it was just so much easier to do it with it empty. What I've done is I've run to the parts store, and since I'm not an automotive tech by trade, I finally got a vacuum bleeder. So I'm really hoping this is the solution to the problem. All right, guys, so it's the next day. Did not film most of the struggle yesterday. Can't get the master cylinder bled. It's all simple stuff. It's just probably all stemming from the fact that I didn't bench bleed it. We get the rear lines bled. I went and bought that vacuum bleeder, which allowed us to get the rear lines bled, but I can't get the front lines bled. Next up in this episode is getting the Mercedes in here, because that's essentially what I really needed to do. We're going to be working with Koni shocks on a lot of projects here in the shop. And as you may remember, when we bagged the W210, we didn't do shocks yet. We still have the factory shocks in there. So I need to get those pulled to get dimensions on them to see what we can compare to what Koni offers as well. But I also want to do a bolt check, possibly an oil change. My next step on the 700 ultimately is going to be building up some plugs for the master cylinder. I really don't want to pull that brake master back out of the car if I don't have to. So I'm going to essentially bench bleed it in the car. The rear line that goes and tees off is bled. We've got good brakes at the rear. So I'm going to get some plugs made up and we can essentially bench bleed it in the car. Kind of defeat there, but this is how it goes. This is just how it goes sometimes. Corey was helping me with the pedal last night and we were scratching our heads. We just couldn't get the front lines bled. All right, guys, so going to do a quick bolt check on the Mercedes. If you didn't watch the episode where we bagged this thing, go back and check it out. I think it's like 3 episodes total. So basically, all I really want to do is just make sure like the bags aren't rubbing on anything. All the airline is still tidy and tucked up, and make sure no bolts or nuts are loose. Rear bags look like they're pretty good. Doesn't look like anything's rubbing on them too hard. I mean, look at how rust-free this car is. This is just unreal. So we did new front lower control arms. These are OEM from ECS Tuning. We did new OEM ball joints as well from ECS. And yeah, just gonna put a wrench on everything and just make sure everything's tight. And we'll do an oil change too, since it's in the air. Haven't done an oil change on this car yet, and I don't know when it had one last. So hopefully that Mercedes dealership was the last place to do an oil change, because this thing already feels like it's on pretty tight and not some Jiffy Lube that impacts them on. Oh my gosh. Goodness gracious.
Huh.
They don't have to be on that tight. Does Grant do some sort of like oil challenge thing? Grant says he watches the channel. He ain't subscribed though. Grant Anderson, if you're listening, subscribe to the channel. If you watch these videos, I subscribe to yours, buddy. Buddy.
I do too.
All the rest of you, please subscribe to the channel. But Grant does this like, oh, I got oil all over my hands when I took my drain plug out. Actually, I don't know how far this is gonna like shoot out, to be honest.
Mercedes drain plugs are usually pretty long too.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm there.
Clean.
Yeah, check it. No oil on the outside of the bullhead.
Well done.
Do I get an A+?
Yes.
A gold star from Grant. So ball joints are tight. Lower control arm mounts took like a quarter turn maybe. Everything else seems tight. The main reason for this was to get the measurement of the stock OEM shocks compressed, because I think that's what's holding us up on the air out height on the car. It's honestly okay that the car doesn't touch the ground. That wasn't the point of this whole project. Normally when I bag a car, I want a part of that undercarriage touching the ground. But for this car, it was more or less the adjustability, being able to set it super low on a nice set of wheels, but also have onboard air. We put an air chuck on the tank. It'd be nice to just have an air hose in the car. If the shocks are the only thing keeping us from going down another inch or so, we might be able to get Coney to send us their sport shocks if those are a little shorter. We've got the schematics for the Coney sport shocks, so we know what those compress to. So before actually pulling the shocks and compressing them and measuring them, we might try to air the car down up on block so it can get underneath and just get a tentative measurement with the shocks still in the car. All right, so this is a perfect opportunity to talk about a new sponsor here in the shop, and that is Rova Oil. It's kind of crazy. It's insane that Rova's come on board. Yeah, sponsored the shop in a massive way. Rova sent me a few boxes of their 2050 back a couple years ago, just as like a, hey, here's some oil type deal. And they make it in the metal tins still. And they package this 2050 for Porsche as well. So the factory Porsche 2050 is made and packaged by Rova in Germany. I've used that before in the air-cooled cars, but they sent me a case of the 540 for the Mercedes. So that's what we'll be using today, is this 540 synthetic. And as you can see here, there's a lot of O-rings that come in the filter kit for the W210. I opened the box up earlier and I was like, oh, where do all those small guys go to? Well, now that we got the actual filter cap out, that's what. Got a large O-ring here, you got one here, and I think one there?
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. In my opinion, the best thing that Mercedes has ever done is make inverted filters from under the hood. So when you drain all your oil, you essentially drain the filter as well. And you can get to it right under the hood. Easy to get to. We didn't drip any oil pulling that thing out. So super simple to get to. And back assembled with the filter. That's literally all you need. You don't need to put your ratchet on here and crank that thing down. That is literally hand tight. That ain't going nowhere. I haven't done this with a Rova plastic jug before, but do we do the no funnel gang move like our boy Jimmy Oaks? Maybe. It's a small opening here. Oh, we got that. We got that. Yeah, this is like unreliable here. I don't have the jug indexed properly to breathe, I don't think. No funnel gang, not a drop. All right, guys, well, that's going to be it for this episode. Just getting some stuff sorted out here in the shop. We've got a lot of content coming on the Beetle. As we're filming this afternoon, we're putting this thing in the shop, pulling the motor, doing a bunch of maintenance. So stay tuned. The giveaway 64 Beetle is going to be underway. We've got Everesto suspension parts supposed to be here tomorrow. 2-day shipping from England. We're going to tear this thing apart. We got front beam, rear spring plates. This thing's going to be on the ground. We got a lot of stuff coming. 2 weeks until EuroTripper in Fort Myers, Florida. The plan is to have the 64 Beetle there. So if you're planning on coming to EuroTripper, we'll have the Beetle there. As long as everything goes to plan, this thing will be fully transformed, suspension-wise, and we'll be there, possibly with the 64 Beetle and hopefully the 700. We just gotta finish bleeding this stupid thing. It's simple, we know. It's just, we just gotta fight through and get it done. W210 sorted out. Hopefully we're doing some Coney shocks here pretty soon on this thing, but this has just been an awesome, awesome daily so far. I love the way it looks. It's simple. It's just what I wanted. I'm glad you guys pushed me into bagging this thing. That's about it for this episode, guys. Welcome to 2024. I know I slept a little bit. This is the first episode of new content this year, but we're gonna hit the ground running. We've got so much to do. So thank you guys so much for all the support. Super excited about what's to come in this year, 2024. We'll see you guys in the next episode.